Hello, my name is Brian Hidden, private lands biologist with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Today I'm standing in a wetland restoration project of George and Ann Ihrke's in Ford County, Illinois. I'd like to take you back to November 2019, where we sat down at their kitchen table and discussed the various conservation projects they've done around their farm. Joining us at the table is former Farm Bill biologist for Pheasants Forever, Jason Bly. He helped them enroll in various conservation practices around their farm. Hope you enjoy the conversation and wonderful wildlife photography taken from this farm by Ryan Askren.
When we lived up in the suburbs of near Joliet, and all the land was being taken for houses and subdivisions, and so the land that we used to hunt on and to actually work our field trial dogs, it was just disappearing. So that was back in the late 60s, and so we started looking around and found that Ford County had one of the best pheasant numbers in the state of Illinois. So that's why I think we kind of came down here. He looked with some other people at land in this area, and that was the beginning of the Green Acres Sportsman's Club.
I started hunting when I was a boy with my family, and in Minnesota, and we hunted grouse and pheasants and Hungarian partridge and quail were the things we hunted, but had an opportunity to buy Ann and I after we got married.
Bought me?
53 years ago. We had an opportunity to buy some land with my uncles in northern Minnesota, and we started managing it for grouse because we had those severe up and down cycles that we thought we could improve by grouse management, and we had great success with that, and it also improved for other wildlife, and we're still grouse hunting to this day, but that got us started in conservation. Then we had the opportunity to buy Green Acres, or start Green Acres, and what she just spoke of, and we've been involved in it ever since. Then we ran into Jason a few years after we lived here, and Jason suggested that we had all these opportunities. In fact, corralled us so badly that we couldn't get away.
Were your parents into conservation or hunting or anything like that?
My dad was in hunting, and there were 15 kids in my dad's family.
Wow.
And that's where we all, on weekends, my grandpa was quite a guy, and we'd all get organized and go hunting on the family farms, and then on weekends, and in other words, they stopped and took time to do the hunting. They just weren't work all the time, although they were very hard workers. And so I guess I came along that part of it naturally.
I was raised in Oak Park, Illinois, which is definitely a suburb. Had nobody in my family hunted. I knew nothing about it.
Is that right?
That's true. And when I met George, and I loved the outdoors. I always loved the outdoors. I loved horses. So on our honeymoon, part of our honeymoon, we went up to Minnesota, and the very next day they were beeping outside with the truck to take us hunting.
Oh,
that was my
That's
that was
awesome.
my introduction.
How
So,
cool.
yeah.
Getting started, after we bought this farm and moved here, getting started in farming conservation junction or joining, it's the farm programs and all that are quite complicated, and you've got to do a heck of a lot of sorting before you figure out what the heck you're doing. Yep. And a lot of forms to fill out, and luckily I had some practice at Green Acres in doing that, and but Jason came along and helped us through that a lot, and told us what programs were available, and we're just starting with our wetland projects, but the increase in wildlife with the pollinator and the wetland projects has been tremendous, both upland game and shorebirds and so forth, as well as ducks.
The
and geese.
pheasant population has just, and they're breeding here. We always had a few, but now, unbelievable last spring.
Yep.
They were everywhere.
Yep.
You just find dozens in a small area. I mean, it was really exciting.
Yep.
Even if you didn't hunt, and you just want to sit out in the yard here.
How could you not enjoy it?
Oh my God, the numbers of songbirds too, everything has just increased.
Yeah, some.
And so for anybody, whether they hunt it or they just want to take a walk on a piece of land and enjoy nature, I would never
We had
go
enough
back.
warblers come through here to practically move our house.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'd never seen them before.
And one of my favorite things to do is in the spring, I like all the colorful ducks. And I like to go and sit in the blinds or sit in the kubota and bring my binoculars and watch them. And we had huge numbers this year.
Yep.
Other last thing is, what I think is the most important is there's more places for people to hunt.
Exactly. That's
And
huge.
it's what you said, if you can get these kids out of their house and doing something physical that they love to do, and it's addictive, let's face it, right?
Would there be a price point where you guys say, let's put this back in the corn, or is it?
Well, I don't know if it's possible because you signed up for a certain time, but I don't know if there's a way to get out of that contract. Do you guys know?
I would say for me, no,
We wouldn't do it anyway.
we wouldn't.
But
No, we wouldn't.